She made his mother's signature dish on her third day at the restaurant. 2 minutes later, the Mafia boss was standing in the kitchen asking, "How do you know this?" 1 month after that, they were cooking together every night, and she still couldn't believe a bowl of pasta had changed her entire life. Lucia Romano had been working at Osteria Santoro for exactly 3 days when she accidentally broke her boss's heart in the best possible way. The job had come through a referral. Her friend Angela, sous chef at the restaurant, had texted her at midnight on a Friday. "Head chef just quit. No notice. Owner is desperate. Can you start Monday?" Lucia had been working at a forgettable Italian chain in Chicago for 2 years. Decent pay. No passion. No soul. The kind of place where fresh pasta meant open that morning from the freezer. She'd moved to New York on a whim 3 weeks earlier with 2 suitcases, $800, and a dream of working in a real kitchen. A kitchen that cared about food the way her nonna had taught her to care. "I can start tomorrow," she'd texted back. "Monday. He's not that desperate. Is the pay decent?" "Better than decent. And the food is real. Like, actually real. Old Italian recipes. The owner's mother opened it 40 years ago." "I'm in." Monday morning, Lucia had shown up at 9 a.m. to a restaurant in Astoria, Queens. The neighborhood was still heavily Italian despite gentrification creeping in. Osteria Santoro occupied a corner building with big windows and a hand-painted sign that looked like it had been there since the 70s. Inside was warmth, dark wood, exposed brick, photos covering every wall, black and white images of families, weddings, christenings. A beautiful woman appeared in dozens of them, holding plates of food, laughing, her arms around various people who all looked related. The kitchen was in the back, small by restaurant standards but meticulously organized. 20 years of grease and love worked into every surface. The kind of kitchen that had seen thousands of meals prepared with care. Tommaso, the head chef, was waiting for her, 60-something with gray hair pulled into a ponytail and hands that moved like he'd been born holding a knife. He'd looked at her resume without reading it, set it down and said, "You know how to make fresh pasta?" "Yes." "Ragu?" "Yes." "Ossobuco?" "My nonna's was better than yours, but I can make it your way if you teach me." He'd smiled for the first time, slow, approving. "I like you. Don't fuck up." Angela had appeared then, blonde, energetic, gave Lucia a hug. "Thank God you're here. We've been dying." The guy who quit was terrible anyway. Good riddance. Why'd he quit? Got a better offer. Midtown. Fancy place. He thought he was too good for us. His loss, Tommaso had said. This kitchen has soul. You can't buy that. Monday had been chaos. Learning the menu. Learning the rhythm. Learning that Tommaso liked his coffee black and bitter and his kitchen staff terrified into excellence. Learning that the owner, Marco Santoro, rarely came in before dinner service. That he was particular about everything. That the restaurant had been his mother's before she died, and he ran it like a shrine. Don't change anything without asking, Angela had warned during family meal. He's protective of this place. Like, really protective. Once a line cook tried to update the bolognese and Marco lost his mind. The guy was fired within an hour. Noted. Don't mess with the recipes. Especially not the old ones, the ones his mother created. Those are sacred. Tuesday had been less chaos. Lucia had learned the stations, learned the rhythm of service, learned that Tommaso barked orders but would quietly fix your mistakes if you asked for help. Learned that Angela loved to gossip and knew everything about everyone. So what's the owner like? Lucia had asked during a slow afternoon prep. Marco? Complicated. Runs the family business. And when I say family business, I mean family business. You know what I mean? I can guess. He's fair, though. Good to work for. Pays well. Doesn't tolerate harassment or bullshit. His mother raised him right. Angela had lowered her voice. She died 8 years ago. Cancer. He's never really gotten over it. This place is his way of keeping her alive. Lucia had looked around the kitchen, at the photos on the walls, at the care in every detail. That's actually beautiful. It is, but it also means he's intense about the food. Everything has to be exactly how she made it. No variations, no creativity. Just her recipes done her way. Sounds limiting. It's tradition. In this kitchen, tradition is everything. Wednesday started normal enough. Lucia arrived at 4 p.m. to prep for dinner service. The kitchen was empty except for Tommaso, who nodded at her and went back to breaking down a whole fish with precision that bordered on art. She checked the prep list. Standard menu items. Pappardelle with wild boar ragu, ossobuco, saltimbocca, tiramisu. Nothing she hadn't made a dozen times before. Nothing exciting. She'd been hoping to show what she could do. Prove she was more than just competent. But you didn't improvise in someone else's kitchen. Especially not after 3 days. Especially not in a kitchen where the owner fired people for updating recipes. At 4:30, Tommaso left to smoke. "Watch the stock," he said, gesturing to a pot simmering on the back burner. She watched the stock, stirred it, tasted it, added salt. The kitchen was quiet, peaceful. Just her, and the sound of simmering liquid and the hum of the walk-in. She walked to the walk-in to check tonight's proteins. Opened the heavy door. Cool air hit her face. Inside was organized chaos. Meat, fish, vegetables, everything labeled and dated. On the second shelf, wrapped in butcher paper, was lamb shoulder. Beautiful, well-aged, marbled perfectly. She could smell the quality from 3 feet away. She stood there looking at the lamb, thinking about her nonna, about the hours they'd spent in the kitchen together when Lucia was small. Summers in Matera, the old stone house in the historic district, the kitchen with the window that looked out over ancient streets, about the recipes passed down through generations, about the dish her nonna made for every special occasion. Cavatelli con ragu di agnello. Cavatelli with lamb ragu. The pasta hand-rolled into small shells. The ragu slow-cooked until the lamb fell apart. Rich. Deep. The kind of food that tasted like love and memory mixed together. Her nonna had learned it from a friend when she was young. A woman named Rosa who'd been older, like a big sister. Who'd taught little Elena to cook before Rosa went to America and never came back. Elena talked about her sometimes. About the beautiful girl who'd cared for her. About the recipes they'd learned together. About promises to stay in touch that had faded with time and distance and life. She went to marry a man in New York, Elena would say. A powerful family. I never heard from her again. But I kept her recipes. I'll never forget what she taught me. Lucia made the dish every year on her nonna's birthday. Called her in Italy. Told her she was keeping the tradition alive. Elena always cried. Always said, "Rosa would be proud. You make it just like she taught me. Exactly right." The lamb was right there. The tomatoes. The herbs. She had time before service. She could make a small batch for family meal. Staff dinner. Nothing fancy. Just something good. Something real. She didn't think about asking permission. Didn't think about the fact that she'd been there 3 days. Didn't think about the rules about not changing anything. She just thought about her nonna's hands guiding hers. About the way Rosa had taught Elena, who had taught Lucia. About the chain of knowledge passed through food. She pulled out the lamb. She made the cavatelli first. Just enough for 6 portions. The pasta had to be hand-rolled. Formed around a ridged board or the back of a fork to create the signature shape. Little shells that would catch the ragu perfectly. Her hands moved without thinking. Flour. Water. Semolina in just the right ratio. Knead until the texture was perfect. Not too soft, not too firm. Then the rolling. Press, drag, form. Each piece identical. The rhythm of 1,000 Sunday afternoons with her nonna. She set them on a floured tray to dry slightly. Then started the ragu. Lamb shoulder cut into large chunks, not too small. They'd break down during cooking. She heated olive oil in a heavy pot. Good olive oil. The expensive kind. When it shimmered, she added the lamb. The sizzle filled the kitchen. The smell of meat browning. She could hear her nonna's voice. Don't rush the browning, Kara. That's where the flavor lives. Be patient. She was patient. Turned each piece. Let the Maillard reaction work. Let the meat develop that deep brown crust that would add complexity to the sauce. When the lamb was browned, she removed it. Added more oil. Added the sofrito. Onions. Carrots. Celery. The holy trinity of Italian cooking. Let them soften. Let them become sweet and fragrant. Then the tomatoes. San Marzano, crushed by hand, the way her nonna had taught her. Never use a machine. Your hands know when it's right. Red wine, just a splash to deglaze, scraping up the brown bits from the bottom. All that flavor. Then the lamb back in, and the herbs, rosemary, bay leaf, salt, pepper, and the secret. The thing that made it Rosa's recipe passed through Elena to Lucia. A tiny amount of cinnamon. Maybe a 1/4 teaspoon for the whole pot. So small you couldn't identify it. Just a warmth underneath everything else. A complexity you couldn't name. She stirred it all together, set it to simmer. Reduced the heat to barely a bubble. Let it work. It would need 2 hours minimum. She'd made a quick version. The real recipe took 6 hours. Slow cooking until the lamb was falling apart. But 2 hours would be enough to develop the flavors. Enough to make it taste right. The smell started almost immediately. Rich, deep, layered. The kind of smell that made you homesick for a place you'd never been. Tommaso came back at 5. Stopped in the doorway. What are you making? Cavatelli with lamb ragu, for family meal. I hope that's okay. I should have asked, but I saw the lamb and I just thought... He walked over slowly, looked in the pot, leaned down, inhaled deeply. His expression changed, went from neutral to something else, something Lucia couldn't read. Where did you learn this? His voice was strange. My nonna, in Italy. She's from Basilicata, Matera. It's a family recipe. Why? Tommaso didn't answer right away, just kept staring at the pot. Then he looked at her. What time did you start this? 4:30. Why? Is something wrong? No, nothing wrong. But his voice said otherwise. The boss usually comes in around 5:30. He's going to smell this. Is that bad? I don't know yet. At 5:30 exactly, the back door opened. Lucia was at the pasta station, checking her cavatelli, making sure they'd dried properly, when she felt the temperature in the kitchen shift. She looked up. A man stood in the doorway, tall, 6 feet at least, dark hair with just a touch of gray at the temples, expensive suit that somehow made him look more dangerous instead of refined, sharp jaw, dark eyes, handsome in a way that was almost intimidating. He was staring at nothing, just standing there in the doorway, frozen. His face had gone completely white. His hand was gripping the doorframe like he needed it to stay upright. His chest was moving like he was breathing hard, or trying not to. Boss? Tommaso said carefully. You okay? The man didn't respond, didn't even seem to hear. He was just standing there with an expression Lucia couldn't read. Pain, maybe, or shock, or something deeper, something that looked like his entire world had just shifted. Angela appeared next to Lucia, whispered, That's Marco, the owner. Is he having a heart attack? I don't know. I've never seen him look like that. Marco Santoro stood there for 2 full minutes, not moving, barely breathing, just standing in the doorway with his hand white-knuckled on the frame and his eyes unfocused like he was seeing something no one else could see. Then he moved. Walked into the kitchen with steps that looked automatic, like his body knew where to go even if his brain had stopped working. He walked straight to the stove, straight to Lucia's pot of ragu. He stood over it, staring down. His hands were shaking. No one in the kitchen was working anymore. Everyone had stopped. Everyone was watching their boss stand over a pot of pasta sauce like it was the most important thing in the world. How do you know this? His voice was rough, low, controlled in a way that suggested he was barely holding on. How do you know how to make this? Lucia's heart was hammering. Know what? It's just cavatelli with lamb ragu. My nonna taught me. Is something wrong? How? Not a question, a demand. How do you know this recipe? I told you. My nonna, Elena. She's from Basilicata, Matera. She learned it when she was young from a friend. Lucia was starting to understand, starting to feel ice in her stomach. Do you know this dish? His eyes finally moved from the pot to her face. They were dark, intense, filled with something that made her chest tight, grief and recognition, and something else she couldn't name. What's your nonna's name? The words came out carefully, like each one cost him something. Elena Romano, Elena Russo before she married. She still lives in Matera, in the old town. She's 67. Why? She watched his face change. Watched emotion flood through so fast it was like watching a dam break. Watched him process something enormous. He reached out, gripped the counter. His knuckles went white. My mother, he said finally, voice barely above a whisper. Rosa Santoro, born Rosa Russo. She was from Matera, born 1950. She left in 1965. 15 years old. She immigrated here, to New York, to marry my father. It was arranged by the families. The kitchen was completely silent. No one was even breathing. She used to talk about a girl she'd left behind, Elena, a little girl who loved food the way she did, who she'd taught to cook. She said Elena was like her little sister, that leaving her was the hardest part of coming to America. His voice was getting rougher. She said she'd never forgotten Elena, that she'd tried to write but lost touch, that she always wondered what happened to her. Lucia felt tears burning her eyes. Rosa. My nonna talks about Rosa, her friend who went to America, who taught her everything about cooking, who she missed every day of her life. This dish. Marco gestured at the pot. His hand was still shaking. My mother made this for my birthday every year, from the time I was born until the year she died. This exact recipe. The lamb, the cinnamon. That tiny amount that you can't quite identify but you know is there. She said it was a secret, that only one other person in the world knew it. Elena, Lucia whispered. Elena. He was still staring at her. How old are you? 29. Why does that matter? My mother died 8 years ago. I was 30. She was 67. Same age as your nonna. She talked about Elena until the end. About the little girl in Matera. About wanting to go back. To see her one more time. She never did. Cancer took her too fast. Lucia's throat was tight. My nonna is still there. Still in the same house. Still cooking. She talks about Rosa sometimes. About her friend who went to America and never came back. About the recipes they learned together. She taught me this dish. Said it was special. Said it came from someone important. Marco reached out slowly. His hand hovered over the pot. Not touching. Just feeling the heat rising, breathing in the smell. His eyes closed, I haven't smelled this in 8 years. Not since my mother died. This restaurant. Everything here. It's all her recipes. All of them. But not this one. This one was too personal. Too sacred. I could never... His voice cracked. I could never ask anyone to make it. It would have felt like desecration. Tommaso stepped forward. Boss, you need to sit down. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're white as paper and shaking. Marco ignored him, opened his eyes, looked at Lucia. Can I taste it? It's not done. It needs another hour at least. I don't care. She grabbed a clean spoon, filled it with ragu. The lamb was already tender. Falling apart. The sauce was thick, rich, not finished but close enough. She held out the spoon. He took it. Their fingers brushed. His were cold. He tasted it, closed his eyes again. The expression on his face broke something in Lucia's chest. Grief and joy and recognition all mixed together. He looked like he was somewhere else, somewhere far away and long ago. Like he was 8 years old again and his mother was alive and the world made sense. When he opened his eyes, they were wet. Full. One tear tracked down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. It's perfect. His voice was hoarse. Exactly like hers. I don't understand how that's possible. Because Elena taught me. The same way Rosa taught her. Every measurement, every technique, every secret. The cinnamon, the timing, everything. She passed it on. Why? Why did she teach you? Because I loved cooking. Because I reminded her of herself when she was young. Because she wanted Rosa's recipes to survive. She taught me dozens of them. All the ones Rosa showed her before she left. Marco set down the spoon carefully. Like if he wasn't careful, he might break. I need air. Boss, Tommaso started. I need air. He walked out, not to the dining room, to the back, the alley where they kept the dumpsters and where Tommaso smoked. The kitchen exploded the second he was gone. What the hell just happened? Angela demanded. His mother taught my grandmother to cook 60 years ago in Italy, Lucia said. Her own voice sounded far away. And I just accidentally made her signature dish without knowing. Holy shit. Yeah, Tommaso was shaking his head. Slow, like he was processing something huge. 30 years I've worked for this family. 30 years. I knew Rosa. She hired me when I was 30 years old. Taught me everything about this kitchen. She was a beautiful woman. Beautiful soul. Kind, but fierce. The staff loved her and feared her in equal measure. She sounds amazing. She was. And that recipe, the cavatelli with lamb, she never let anyone make it. Not me. Not anyone. It was hers. Sacred. She made it for Marco's birthday every year. For her husband's birthday. For special occasions, but never on the menu. Never for customers. It was family only. I didn't know, Lucia said. I swear I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. How could you? Tommaso stirred the pot, tasted it. His eyes closed. This is perfect. Exactly like I remember. After she died, Marco tried to make it once. Couldn't do it. Wrong somehow. Missing something. He gave up. Said some things were meant to die with the people who made them. But they didn't die, Lucia said. Rosa taught Elena. Elena taught me. The recipe survived. Yeah, it did. Tommaso looked at her. You want my advice? Please. Finish this. Serve it for family meal. Let him eat it. Let him remember. And then ask him what he wants you to do with it, because this is his decision, not ours. What if he tells me to never make it again? Then you don't. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. Marco didn't come back for an hour. Service started at 6. The restaurant began filling with customers. Lucia worked her station, trying not to think about the man in the alley who she'd accidentally shattered with a pot of pasta. At 6:30, they did family meal, staff dinner before the evening rush got serious. Tommaso plated the cavatelli, 6 portions. Beautiful, the pasta shells catching the ragu perfectly. He set one aside, covered it with a towel. "For the boss," he said, "when he comes back." They ate in silence. The kitchen staff, the servers, everyone tasting the dish that had broken their boss. "This is incredible," Angela said around a mouthful. "Where have you been hiding this?" "It's just ragu." "It's not just ragu, it's like, I don't know, like eating a memory, like something that shouldn't exist but does." At 7, Marco appeared. He'd changed clothes, no suit, just dark jeans and a black t-shirt. Casual but still somehow commanding. His eyes were red, but his face was calmer, more composed. "Lucia." His voice was steady now. "My office, please." She followed him through the dining room. Customers were arriving, being seated. The restaurant was warm, rustic, Italian in the best way. Photos covered every wall. Family, history, moments captured. The woman who must have been Rosa appeared in dozens of them, young and beautiful, older and elegant, always smiling, always holding plates of food. His office was small, desk covered in papers, more photos on the walls. Rosa with a young boy who must have been Marco, Rosa with an older man in a suit, Rosa in a white chef's coat standing in this kitchen. He gestured to a chair. "Sit." She sat. Her heart was hammering. She'd been working here 3 days, and had somehow walked into something massive, something she didn't understand but felt the weight of. He leaned against the desk, crossed his arms, studied her, taking his time, really looking. "Tell me about your nonna," he said finally. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. How she learned to cook, what she taught you, what she said about Rosa. Everything." So Lucia told him. About growing up in Chicago with parents who divorced when she was 8. About summers in Italy being the only time she felt stable. About the old stone house in Matera's historic district. About Elena teaching her to make pasta on a wooden board that had belonged to Elena's grandmother. About the stories Elena told while they cooked. About Rosa, the beautiful older girl who'd treated little Elena like a sister, who'd been patient where others weren't, who'd taught her that food was love made visible. She said Rosa went to America to marry into a powerful family, that it was arranged, that Rosa wrote letters for the first few years, but then they stopped. Elena never knew what happened, never knew if Rosa was happy, never knew if she was even alive. She just knew that Rosa was gone and that the recipes were all she had left. Marco's jaw was tight. He pushed off the desk, walked to the window, looked out at the Queen Street, evening light, people walking home from work. "My mother married my father because her family owed his family a debt," he said quietly. A financial debt that was settled with a daughter. She was 15. He was 30. She came to New York alone. Didn't speak English. Terrified. But she learned. She adapted. She survived. Lucia's stomach turned. 15? Different time, different rules. It wasn't a love match. But they made it work. She learned to run this restaurant. My father owned it, but she made it what it was. She learned English. Had me late at 37. My father died when I was 15. Heart attack. She ran everything after that. The restaurant, the other businesses, all of it. Other businesses? He turned back to her, smiled slightly. Not happy, just acknowledging. My family has businesses, some legitimate, some not. You've been here 3 days. You've probably figured that out. Angela mentioned you're particular about things. Particular is diplomatic. My family is involved in activities that aren't exactly legal, Import-export, unions, construction, other things. I run all of it now. I'm what you'd call made, connected, part of the life. He said it flatly, watching her reaction. Okay, Lucia said. Okay, that's it? No judgment? No questions? What do you want me to say? That I'm shocked? That I don't understand? Everyone knows what Italian families in Queens do. It's not exactly a secret, and it doesn't change the fact that your mother taught my grandmother to cook 60 years ago. And here we are. He looked at her for a long moment. You're not scared. Should I be? Most people are. I'm not most people. No, you're not. He walked back, sat on the edge of the desk, closer now. My mother hated that side of the business, the violence, the danger, the weight of it. But she was good at it anyway. She was good at everything, except going back to Italy. She always meant to, always talked about it. About seeing Matera again, about finding Elena. She never did. Cancer took her fast. 2 months from diagnosis to funeral. She died in this restaurant, in the office upstairs, surrounded by family. Her last words were about food, about recipes, about Elena. What did she say? She said, "Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I never forgot. Tell her the food remembers." His voice broke slightly. I didn't know who she was talking about. I thought it was delirium. Morphine dreams. It never occurred to me that it was real, that there was really someone named Elena who she'd left behind. Lucia's eyes were burning. My nonna will want to know that Rosa thought of her at the end. Can I call her? Your nonna. Can I call Elena now? It's past midnight in Italy. I don't care. Please, if that's okay. She pulled out her phone, hit the contact, let it ring on speaker. It rang 5 times. Lucia was about to hang up when it connected. Pronto? Elena's voice, rough with sleep but alert. Nonna, I'm sorry to call so late. I'm putting you on speaker. There's someone who wants to talk to you. Chia, who is it? Marco leaned forward. Elena, my name is Marco Santoro. I'm Rosa's son. Silence. Complete silence. Long enough that Lucia thought the connection had dropped. Then a sound that might have been a sob. Marco? Elena's voice broke. Il bambino di Rosa? You're calling me? Yes, I'm here, in Queens, at my mother's restaurant, the one she built. Rosa made a restaurant. She achieved her dream. She did. She built it. She ran it until she died, 8 years ago. More silence, then crying. Full crying. 8 years. She's gone 8 years and I never knew. We lost touch. I wrote letters, but they stopped coming back. I thought maybe she'd forgotten me, moved on with her American life. She never forgot you, Marco said, his own voice thick. She talked about you until the end, about little Elena who loved to cook, about wanting to see you again, about going back to Matera. She tried to find you, but by then the old addresses didn't work. People had moved. She ran out of ways to reach you. I stayed, Elena said, in the same house, same street. I stayed in case she came back. She wanted to. She tried. She just ran out of time. They talked for over an hour. Lucia and Marco taking turns, sharing stories, building bridges across decades of silence and loss. Elena crying and laughing in equal measure, telling stories about young Rosa, about the girl who'd been so kind, so patient, who'd taught her everything. She said I had good hands, Elena said, that I was born to cook, that someday I'd be better than her. I never was, but I tried. I kept every recipe she taught me, every single one. Your granddaughter is here, Marco said. Lucia. She's working in my mother's kitchen. She made cavatelli today, with lamb ragu, The recipe you taught her. The one my mother taught you 60 years ago. She made it? Elena's voice rose. Lucia, you made Rosa's dish. Yes, Nonna. I didn't know. I didn't know whose recipe it was. Not until today. Not until he told me. And now you know. Now you both know. Elena was crying and laughing at the same time. Rosa always said fate would bring us together. Always said the food would remember even if people forgot. She said recipes were promises. That they'd survive us both. She was right, Marco said quietly. By the end of the call, Elena was demanding they visit. You bring him to Matera, Lucia. You bring Rosa's boy home. Let him see where his mother came from. Let me meet him properly. Let me cook for him. Let me tell him stories about his mother when she was young and the world was still full of promise. When they hung up, Marco looked stunned, pale, like he'd just run a marathon. That was... He trailed off. A lot, Lucia finished. Yeah. He rubbed his face, ran his hands through his hair. I should get back to work. Service is going. I've been hiding up here for 2 hours. Can I ask you something first? Anything. The recipe. Do you want me to make it again? Or was it too much? He looked at her for a long moment. Really looked at her, like he was trying to decide something important. Make it again, he said finally. Make it tomorrow, and the day after. Put it on the menu if you want. Call it Cavatelli della Nonna. Both nonnas. They're connected now. They always were even when they didn't know it. You're sure? I'm sure. My mother would like that. She'd like knowing that her recipes survived, that Elena's granddaughter is cooking them, that the chain didn't break. She'd like that very much. Okay, Lucia said softly. I'll make it. And Lucia, thank you for accidentally giving me my mother back, even just for an hour, even just through food. Thank you. She didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded. They went back to the kitchen. Service was in full swing. Tommaso barked orders. Angelo worked Expo like a conductor. Everyone moved in controlled chaos. Lucia jumped back into her station, made pasta to order, tried not to think about everything that had just happened, tried not to think about the fact that she'd somehow walked into a story 60 years in the making. At midnight, service ended. Staff cleaned. Tommaso made everyone one more plate before they left. Lucia's cavatelli. Everyone ate in silence. The kind of respectful silence that comes when food means something more than sustenance. Marco appeared as everyone was leaving. Lucia, stay a minute? She stayed. The kitchen emptied. Just the two of them. The quiet after the storm. I want to teach you, he said. Teach me what? My mother's other recipes. The ones only I know. The ones she taught me before she died. If you're going to carry her food forward, you should have all of it. Not just the pieces Elena remembered. I'd like that. Tomorrow, after prep, before service. We'll start with her Sunday gravy. It takes all day, so we'll do a quick version. But I'll teach you properly later. Okay. And Lucia, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you walked into this kitchen. I'm glad Elena taught you. I'm glad for all of it. She smiled. Me too. That night she called her Nonna again, told her everything. Elena cried and laughed and said Rosa's name over and over like a prayer. You're going to bring him to me, Elena said. Not a question, a statement. You're going to bring Rosa's boy home. If he wants to come, he'll want to come. Rosa's blood calls to home. He'll want to see. The next month moved in strange ways, fast and slow at the same time. Days blurred together in the kitchen, but certain moments stood crystal clear. Day 4 after the Cavatelli revelation, Marco showed up at 3 in the afternoon, earlier than usual. The kitchen was an afternoon quiet. that dead zone between lunch prep and dinner service. "Can you teach me?" he asked. Lucia looked up from breaking down chicken. "Teach you what?" "How to make it. The cavatelli. I want to learn." "You want to learn to make pasta?" "My mother tried to teach me when I was 16. I was an asshole about it. Too cool to cook with my mom. Too busy trying to prove I was tough in front of my father's guys." He leaned against the counter, looked young suddenly, vulnerable. "I've regretted that every day for 22 years. "Okay, wash your hands." They made pasta together that afternoon, just the two of them. Tommaso had left to meet a supplier. Angela was off. The kitchen was theirs. Flour everywhere, her hands guiding his, teaching him the pressure, the angle, the way to drag the pasta to form those little ridges that would catch sauce. "You're terrible at this," she said after his 10th misshapen cavatelli. "I'm painfully aware." "But you're trying. That counts for something." "Does it? Because these look like they were made by a drunk child." She laughed. Actually laughed. "They'll taste fine. Texture matters more than perfection." "Is that what your nonna says?" "My nonna says cooking is about intention. If your heart is in it, the food knows. The eater knows." "That's very poetic." "She's very Italian." He tried another piece. This one was better. Not good, but better. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why'd you really move to New York?" "Angela said you just showed up 3 weeks before you started here." "Why does anyone move to New York?" "Dreams. Delusions. The belief that somewhere out there is the life you're supposed to be living." "And is it? The life you're supposed to be living?" She looked at him. At his hands covered in flour. At the concentration on his face as he tried to get the shape right. At the way he'd shown up vulnerable and asked her to teach him something his mother couldn't. "Yeah," she said quietly. "I think it might be." Day 6. Angela cornered her in the walk-in. The cold made their breath visible. "So, you and the boss." "There is no me and the boss." "Girl, he's here every day now, like every single day. He came in twice a week before you showed up. Now he's here from 3 p.m. to close. Because of you. He's interested in learning the recipes. He's interested in you, and you're interested back. I have eyes. Everyone has eyes. It's complicated. It's cooking together, in his dead mother's kitchen, while he looks at you like you're the answer to a question he's been asking his whole life. That's not complicated. That's a romance novel waiting to happen. I've been here 2 weeks. And time is fake. Chemistry is real. Day 8. They had their first dinner rush from hell. The reservation system crashed. A party of 20 showed up without warning. The printer broke. Orders backed up. The kitchen was drowning. Tommaso was yelling. Angela was running Expo like a military commander. Lucia was on pasta making fresh pappardelle to order. Hands moving faster than thought. Boiling. Saucing. Plating. Over and over. No time to breathe. Just survive. At 9 p.m., Marco appeared in the kitchen, took off his suit jacket, rolled up his sleeves. "Where do you need me?" Tommaso pointed at garde-manger. "Salads. Apps. Now." Marco made salads, plated apps, helped Expo, moved through the kitchen like he'd been doing it his whole life, which he probably had. This was his mother's restaurant. He'd grown up here, working every station, learning from the ground up. At 11, the rush finally ended. The kitchen was destroyed. Lucia's feet were screaming. Her back hurt. Her hands were cramping. Marco appeared next to her at the pasta station. "You good?" "I'm alive. That counts. Come on. I'm making you food. I just cooked for 6 hours. I don't want food. You're eating anyway. You're pale. You need protein. He made her cacio e pepe. Simple. 4 ingredients. Perfect. They sat at the bar in the empty dining room while staff cleaned around them. You're good in a kitchen, she said. Like really good. Natural. I grew up in one. My mother made sure I knew how to work every station before I was allowed to just manage. Said I couldn't run a restaurant if I didn't understand the work. He twirled pasta on his fork. She was right. About everything, usually. She sounds brilliant. She was. Brilliant and terrifying in equal measure. The staff loved her and feared her. Perfect combination for a kitchen. He took a bite. Chewed thoughtfully. She would have loved tonight. The chaos. The rush. The way everyone pulled together. That's when a kitchen shows its real soul. You miss her. Every day. But especially here. This place is hers. Every recipe, every photo, every inch. I'm just keeping it alive. You're doing more than that. You're honoring her memory. That's different. I hope so. They ate in comfortable silence. The kind that only happens when people fit together naturally. Around them, the restaurant settled into nighttime quiet. Can I ask you something personal? Marco said. You can ask. I might not answer. Fair. Why cooking? Of all the things you could have done with your life, why this? She thought about it. Really thought. Because food is the only thing that's ever made complete sense to me. You follow a recipe. You do the work. And at the end, there's something real. Something good. Something that nourishes. I like that certainty. That cause and effect. Life doesn't usually work that way. No, it doesn't. Is that why you stayed? Why you took over the restaurant instead of just running the other businesses? Partly. Also because this was hers. Walking away would have felt like erasing her. He set down his fork. Can you make focaccia the way Elena makes it? Yes. Why? Show me tomorrow. I want to learn. So she showed him. The next afternoon. Just the two of them again. Hands in dough. Teaching him the technique Elena had taught her. The way to dimple it. The way to get the olive oil to pool perfectly in each indentation. He was better at focaccia than cavatelli. Better hands for it. More patient. Your mother must have taught you some things, Lucia said. They were shaping dough into pans. The kitchen smelled like yeast and rosemary. She tried. I was a terrible student. Too impatient. Too busy trying to be someone I thought I needed to be. He dimpled the dough with careful fingers. I wish I'd paid more attention. Wish I'd asked more questions. Wish I'd spent more time in here with her instead of out there with them. Them? My father's guys. The business. I was 15 when he died. Suddenly I was the man of the family. Had to prove I could handle it. Had to be tough. Being tough meant not cooking with my mother. That's heartbreaking. It was stupid. She died 8 years later. All that time I could have spent learning from her. I wasted it trying to prove something to people who didn't matter. They were standing close now. The kitchen was warm from the oven preheating. She could smell his cologne under the rosemary. Something expensive. Something that probably cost more than her rent. Why does it matter now? She asked quietly. Learning the recipes. Learning to cook. Why now? He looked at her. Really looked at her. Dark eyes intense. Because you're here. Because you're carrying something of hers forward. And I don't want to lose that. Don't want to lose this connection to her. To Elena. To all of it. Her breath caught. Marco, I know what you're going to say, that it's been 2 weeks, that this is unprofessional, that you work for me, that there are rules. I know all of it. Then why? Because I can't stop thinking about you. About this. About the fact that you walked into my life making my mother's food, and somehow that feels like the universe trying to tell me something. He reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her jaw. Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me to back off. Tell me anything and I will. But tell me the truth. I think about you too, she admitted. All the time. It's distracting. It's unprofessional. It's probably a terrible idea. Probably. Definitely. And yet I don't care. He smiled, slow, beautiful. I'm going to kiss you now. If that's not okay, stop me. That's very okay. He kissed her, soft at first, careful, like she was something precious, testing. Then deeper when she kissed him back, his hand in her hair, her hands fisted in his shirt. The focaccia forgotten. Everything forgotten except this moment. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. Tommaso is going to have opinions, she said. Tommaso always has opinions. He's going to say I told you so. Probably. The door swung open. Tommaso stood there, looked at them, looked at their faces, looked at the flower on both of them and the way they were standing too close. Finally, he said, I won 300 euros. You bet on us? Lucia asked. Everyone bet on you. Angela said 3 weeks. I said 2 weeks. Sophia from the front said 1 month. I win. He grabbed his jacket. I'm going to smoke. You two figure your shit out. But not in my kitchen. I just mopped. He left. The door swung shut. Marco laughed. Full laugh. Threw his head back. This is going to be all over the restaurant by tonight. Your family is going to know by tomorrow. Probably. That doesn't bother you. Should it? I work for you. There are rules about this. I own the restaurant. I make the rules. And the new rule is you're amazing, and I want to keep kissing you. Any objections? So many objections. I'm ignoring all of them. Good. He kissed her again. Longer this time. Slower, taking his time. Her back against the counter. His hands on her waist. Respectful, but wanting. She kissed him back like she'd been thinking about it for days, which she had. The timer went off. The focaccia needed to go in the oven. They broke apart reluctantly. To be continued? He asked. Definitely to be continued. Week 3 they started cooking together after hours. After service ended at 11. After everyone went home. Just the two of them in the quiet kitchen. He'd teach her his mother's recipes. She'd teach him Elena's. They'd talk while they cooked. About family. About food. About the weight of legacy and the fear of not being enough. My mother built this place from nothing, he said one night. They were making arancini. Rice balls stuffed with ragu. She wanted something that was completely hers. That nobody could take away. Food was the only power she had in the beginning. Elena says the same thing. That in Matera in the 50s, women had nothing. No property, no money, no voice. But they had their kitchens, their recipes. That was their kingdom. 2 women. 60 years, same truth. They shaped rice balls in comfortable silence, working in sync now, reading each other's movements. Can I tell you something? Lucia said. Anything. I was scared to come to New York. Terrified, actually. I'd never lived anywhere but Chicago. Never taken a real risk. But I felt like I was dying there. Like I was suffocating in safety. So I came here with barely any money and no real plan, and I thought I was insane. And now I think maybe I was exactly as insane as I needed to be. Because somehow it led me here. To this kitchen. To you. To all of this. He stopped shaping rice, looked at her. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone temporary. Someone passing through. But you're not temporary. You're... He trailed off, I'm what? You're permanent, in a way I didn't know I needed. Her heart did something complicated in her chest. That's either the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me or the most terrifying. Can it be both? Yeah, it can definitely be both. Week 4. Marco's family came to Sunday dinner at the restaurant. Extended family, 30 people, loud, chaotic, Italian in every overwhelming sense. Marco had warned her. They're intense, they're nosy, they have no boundaries. You can skip it if you want. I'm not skipping it. You're sure? I want to meet them. I want to be part of this. So she'd shown up, helped cook, helped serve, watched Marco with his family and learned more about him in 3 hours than she'd learned in 3 weeks. His Aunt Sophia grabbed Lucia's face between her hands. You're the girl, the one who makes Rosa's food. Yes. Good. He needs someone who understands, someone who knows what food means to this family. His Uncle Carmine was less subtle. You break his heart, I break your legs. Capiche? Carmine, Marco snapped. Stop threatening my girlfriend. Girlfriend? Carmine's eyebrows went up. So it's official? It's official. Lucia's heart did that thing again. Girlfriend. He'd called her his girlfriend. In front of his family. Making it real. The dinner was overwhelming and wonderful. Multiple courses. Wine flowing. Stories told in a mix of Italian and English. Arguments about recipes. Laughter. So much laughter. Lucia felt at home in a way she hadn't since childhood summers in Matera. This was family. Real family. The loud, messy, complicated kind. At the end of the night, Sophia pulled her aside. My sister, Rosa. God rest her. She would have loved you. Would have loved that you carry her recipes. That you make my nephew smile the way he's smiling tonight. Thank you. No. Thank you for bringing a little of her back to us. That night after everyone left, Lucia and Marco cleaned the kitchen together, washing dishes, putting away food, moving in sync like they'd been doing this for years. Your family is a lot, she said. That's diplomatic phrasing. I loved them. They loved you. Sophia already texted me 3 times. Apparently you're perfect and I better not mess this up. Sound advice. From a woman who's been divorced twice. Maybe she learned from experience. He laughed, dried a pot, set it aside. Come to Italy with me. She stopped washing. What? In 3 weeks. I'm taking time off. First time in 8 years. Going to Matera. To see where my mother came from. To meet your Nonna face to face. Come with me. Marco, that's insane. It's too fast. I know. Come anyway. We've known each other a month. I know. Come anyway. What will people think? I don't care what people think. I care about you. I care about meeting Elena. I care about seeing the place my mother loved. And I want you there. She thought about Elena. About how her Nonna's voice had broken over the phone. About 60 years of separation ending because Lucia had made a pot of pasta. About second chances and bridges built across time. Yes, she said. Obviously, yes. He kissed her there in the kitchen. Surrounded by clean dishes and the smell of family dinner, and the promise of something neither of them had been looking for, but both of them desperately needed. They flew to Italy in October. Autumn. The best time. Rome first, where they spent 2 days walking ancient streets and eating food that made Lucia want to cry. Then a train south through countryside that looked like Renaissance paintings come to life. They arrived in Matera at sunset. The ancient city carved into limestone cliffs. Sassy districts stacked on top of each other. Stone houses that had been there for thousands of years. UNESCO World Heritage Site. One of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Marco stood at the overlook, staring, silent. "This is where she was from," he said finally, voice thick. "This is what she left behind." Lucia took his hand, squeezed. Elena met them at her house, a small stone building in the Sasso Cavioso, the old town, restored but ancient. You could feel the history in the walls. She opened the door. Tiny woman, white hair in a bun, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She looked at Marco, and her face crumpled. "Dio mio," she whispered. "You look like her." "Everyone says I look like my father." "Your father's face, your mother's soul." She reached up, touched his cheek, tears streaming. Rosa's eyes. I'd know them anywhere, even after 60 years. Those are her eyes. Elena. Marco's breath hitched. He bent down. Let this tiny woman embrace him. Let himself be held by someone who'd loved his mother when his mother was still a girl with dreams, instead of a woman with regrets. Welcome home, Marco. Rosa's boy. Welcome home. Inside the house was warm. Stone walls, low ceilings, small but perfectly kept. Photos everywhere. Young Elena. Her husband who'd died 20 years ago. Her daughter, Lucia, as a baby, as a child, growing up. And there, on the mantel, a photo so old it was sepia-toned. 2 girls, one 15, one maybe 8, arms around each other, smiling at the camera like they had all the time in the world. Marco picked it up, stared. That's her, Elena said softly. Rosa. The day before she left, we took this photo. I still have it. Kept it all these years. She's so young. She was 15, just a child herself. Too young for marriage. Too young for America. Too young for everything that came after. Elena's voice was heavy. But she was brave. Always brave. They stayed a week. 7 days. Elena cooked for them every day. Traditional Mataran food. Bread baked in wood ovens. Pasta shaped by hand. Lamb slow roasted with herbs that grew wild in the hills. She taught them recipes in her small kitchen, standing between them. Correcting technique. Telling stories while they cooked. Rosa taught me this, she'd say, hands in dough. She learned from her grandmother. Who learned from her grandmother? Back and back. Generations. This is how we survive. Through food. Through memory. On the 3rd day, Elena took them through the old town. Through streets so narrow, 2 people had to walk single file. Past churches carved into rock. Past houses that had been inhabited for millennia. She stopped at a small piazza. Here, she said. This is where we met. I was 7, lost, crying. Rosa found me. She was 15, so grown up in my eyes. She walked me home. After that, she looked after me. Was the sister I never had. Marco stood in that piazza, looking around, trying to imagine his mother young, in this place, before America, before his father, before everything that had shaped her into the woman he'd known. What was she like? He asked. Before she left. What was she really like? Elena thought for a long moment. Happy. She was so happy here, full of life, full of dreams. She wanted to see the world, wanted to cook, wanted to open a restaurant. When the marriage was arranged, at first she thought it was her chance. Thought she'd have freedom in America. Have opportunity. Elena's voice grew sad. She didn't know what she was giving up until she was gone. Did she ever write to you? After she left? For 2 years. Letters every month, telling me about America, about the restaurant, about learning English, about being so alone. Elena wiped her eyes. Then the letters stopped. I wrote, but got no response. I thought she'd forgotten me, moved on. I didn't know she'd been trying to find me too. She tried, Marco said, for years, but you'd moved. The old address didn't work anymore. I moved 1 street over, 1 street, and we lost each other. They stood in that piazza. 3 people connected by food and loss and 60 years of silence. Connected by Rosa, who'd been taken too young and died too early and never got to come home. On the 5th day, they cooked together. All 3 of them. Every recipe Rosa had taught Elena. Every technique. Every secret. They cooked from morning until night. Made enough food for an army. "Tomorrow," Elena said. "Tomorrow we have a feast. I'm inviting the neighbors, the family, everyone. We'll celebrate Rosa. We'll celebrate her memory. We'll celebrate that her food survived." The feast was enormous. 30 people in Elena's small house, spilling into the courtyard, eating and laughing and celebrating a woman most of them had never met, but all of them knew through her recipes. Lucia watched Marco, watched him laugh with Elena's neighbors, watched him tell stories about his mother, watched him come alive in a way she'd never seen in New York. That night after everyone left, after they'd cleaned, after Elena had gone to bed, Marco and Lucia sat on the terrace, looking out over the ancient city, lights twinkling, stone glowing in the darkness. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For bringing me here, for being the bridge, for giving me this." He gestured at the city, at Elena's house, at everything. "My mother talked about this place my whole life. I never understood why. Never understood what she'd left behind. Now I do. She must have loved it here." She did. And she loved Elena. Loved her like a sister. Losing that must have killed her. He was quiet for a moment. "I'm going to bring Elena to New York, to see the restaurant, to see what her friend built. She deserves that. She'll love that. And Lucia? Yeah? I love you. Simple, direct, true. I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I love you. I loved you when you made that pot of pasta. I loved you when you taught me to make cavatelli. I love you now. And I'll love you tomorrow. That's just how it is." Her heart was so full it hurt. "I love you too. I think I have since you walked into that kitchen looking like your world had ended and started over in the same moment. That's exactly what it felt like. We're crazy. We've known each other 5 weeks. 5 weeks that feel like 5 years. Yeah, they really do." He kissed her there, under Italian stars, in the town his mother had left 60 years ago. Kissed her, and knew with absolute certainty that this was it. This was the thing, the person, the life he was supposed to build. They flew back to New York changed, deeper, more certain. Moved in together within a week because being apart felt wrong. Started building a life around food and family and the recipes that connected them across generations. 6 months later, Marco put her name on the restaurant deed. Made her a partner, not just a chef, an owner. Equal. "This doesn't feel right," she said when he showed her the papers. "It's your mother's restaurant. It's our restaurant, yours and mine. You carry her recipes. You carry Elena's recipes. You're the bridge between them, between past and future. This should be yours too." "Marco, sign the papers, Lucia. Please. It's what she would have wanted, what Elena wants, what I want." So she signed. Became co-owner of Osteria Santoro, put her name next to his on everything. They changed the menu slightly, added cavatelli della nonna as a permanent item, added other dishes. Elena's recipes, Rosa's recipes, honored both women who'd loved each other across distance and time. The restaurant flourished, word got out, food critics came, wrote glowing reviews, called it a love letter to tradition, and the soul of Italian cooking preserved through generations. They were featured in magazines, on blogs. People came from all over to eat Rosa's food, Elena's food. The food that had survived 60 years and an ocean. 8 months after Matera, Marco took Lucia to dinner. Fancy place in Manhattan? Too fancy. She hated these places, preferred their own kitchen, their own food. Why are we here? She asked, looking around at crystal and white tablecloths and servers in suits. Because I need to ask you something and I wanted it to be special. Our kitchen is special. Fair point. But I already made reservations. They ate. Good food, but not as good as theirs. Nothing was as good as theirs. After dessert, Marco pulled out a small box. This was my mother's, he said, opening it. Simple gold band with a small diamond. Elegant. Timeless. My father gave it to her when they married. She gave it to me before she died. Told me to give it to someone who understood what food means, what family means. Someone who could carry the torch forward. Her throat tightened. Marco. Marry me. Cook with me. Build a life with me. Raise children who know where they come from and who they're connected to. Say yes. We've known each other 8 months. I know. Say yes anyway. Your family is going to have opinions. My family has been planning our wedding since week 2. Sophia has a Pinterest board. Say yes. She laughed through tears. Yes. Obviously, yes. They married in March, small ceremony. Just family. In the restaurant, because where else would they marry? The place was filled with flowers, with candles, with photos of Rosa and Elena side by side. Elena flew in from Italy, wore her best dress, cried through the entire ceremony, held Marco's face afterward and said, Rosa would be so proud of the man you became, of the love you found, of the life you're building. The reception was there too, in the restaurant, everyone cooking, everyone eating. Tommaso made a speech about how he'd known from day one. Angela made a speech about her superior matchmaking skills. Sophia made a speech about true love and destiny while her sister rolled her eyes. Uncle Carmine made a speech about how Lucia had proven herself and he was retracting his previous threat to break her legs. But mess up my nephew and I'll break something else, he added. Sophia hit him. They honeymooned in Matera. 2 weeks with Elena, cooking every day, learning more recipes, storing up knowledge like treasure. When I die, Elena said one afternoon. They were making orecchiette. When I die, you'll have all of it. Every recipe, every technique, every story. Rosa's and mine. Promise me you'll pass it on. We promise, they said together. A year after the wedding, Lucia got pregnant. Told Marco while they were prepping for dinner service. Just blurted it out between chopping onions and seasoning meat. I'm pregnant. He dropped his knife. Stared at her. You're what? Pregnant. I took 3 tests. All positive. We're having a baby. He picked her up. Literally lifted her off her feet. Spun her around. Kissed her. Set her down. Picked her up again. We're having a baby, he said. Voice full of wonder. A baby who'll grow up in this kitchen. Who'll learn to make pasta before they can write their name. Who'll know about Rosa and Elena and the chain that connects us all. So you're happy. I'm terrified and thrilled and so happy I could cry. Is that normal? I think so. They named their daughter Rosa Elena. Rosa for his mother, Elena for her nonna. The circle complete. Elena flew in when Rosa was born, held her great-granddaughter, cried. She has Rosa's eyes, she said. Look, the same eyes. They came back to us. Little Rosa grew up in the restaurant, in the kitchen. She made pasta as soon as her hands were big enough. Memorized recipes by heart before she learned to read. Understood that food was memory, that cooking was love, that some bonds were meant to last forever. When Rosa was 3, Elena died peacefully in her sleep in Matera. They flew over for the funeral. Brought Rosa, who didn't understand death, but understood that Nonna was gone. They buried Elena next to her husband in the old cemetery overlooking the Sassi. Ancient stones, ancient city, ancient grief. "She's with Rosa now," Marco said, standing at the grave, holding his daughter. "Wherever they are, they're together again, the way they should have been all along." Lucia planted rosemary on the grave. "So she'll remember," she told Rosa. "So she'll know we remember." Every year after that, on the anniversary of the day Lucia had made cavatelli con ragù di agnello and changed both their lives, they closed the restaurant. Just the family, Marco and Lucia and Rosa. Later, when their son Antonio was born, him too. They made the dish together, taught their children to make it, told them the story, about two women in Matera, about friendship across years, about food as memory, about love that survived death and distance and time. "This is who you come from," they'd tell their children. "This is your history, your legacy, never forget." And the children never did. Rosa grew up to be a chef, took over the restaurant eventually, added her own touches while keeping her great-grandmother's recipes sacred, met a boy who loved food the way she did, married him in the restaurant where her parents had married, where her grandmother Rosa had cooked for 40 years, where the circle continued. On the wall of Osteria Santoro, in a place of honor, hung two photos. One of Rosa Russo at 15 in Matera, arm around little Elena. One of Elena Russo at 67 in Matera, arm around Marco. Between them, a brass plaque. Simple words. Rosa Russo Santoro, 1950-2017. Elena Russo Romano, 1958-2024. Friends across time. Connected by food, connected by love. Their recipes live on. And they did. In every dish served. In every lesson taught. In every child who learned to make cavatelli by hand and heard the story of two women who'd loved each other and food and life enough that it survived them both. Lucia was 70 when she told the story for the last time. To her great-granddaughter. Another Rosa. 4th generation. Making pasta in the same kitchen where her great-great-grandmother Rosa had made it. Where her great-grandmother Lucia had made it. Where her grandmother Rosa had made it. "It started with a pot of pasta," Lucia said. Her hands were old now, but still steady. Still making perfect cavatelli. "Your great-great-grandfather Marco walked into this kitchen and smelled his mother's food and his whole world changed. And mine changed too. All because two women in Italy 60 years before had loved each other enough to teach each other recipes, to pass on knowledge, to build something that would outlast them both." "Is that true, Nonna?" little Rosa asked. "Did it really happen like that?" "Every word. I was there. I made the pasta. I saw his face. I watched everything change in 2 minutes. That's romantic. It's food. Food is always romantic when it's made with love. Will you teach me? To make it like you? Like Rosa and Elena?" Lucia smiled, took the child's hands, guided them in the flour. "I already am, Cara. I already am." And it continued, unbroken, through generations, through time. Through the simple act of making pasta with love and remembering those who came before. Food is memory. Food is love. Food connects us all. That was the lesson. That was the truth. That was what Rosa and Elena and Lucia and Marco had built together without even knowing it. A legacy that would outlast them all. And it started with a pot of pasta on a Wednesday afternoon. With a smell that brought a man to his knees. With 2 minutes that changed everything. Some things are meant to be. Some connections are too strong to break. Some love survives everything. Even death. Even time. Even 60 years of silence. The food remembers. Even when people forget. The food always remembers.